Today we'll be working in my story of Noah and his family. I've been talking a lot already. Yeah, which covers Genesis 6, 11 through 26. And we have already covered the first six chapters of this book, where evil's brought in the flood. We have the dimensions of the ark and how Noah's to build it, the flood itself and what it all did. Then the ark lands on Mount Ararat, and then they go out to reclaim the land. Then we have the story of Canaan being cursed because Ham was not respectful to his father. And so today we're going to be in chapter 7, the Tower of Babel. So let's move to the chapter 7. Chapter 7, the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, Genesis 11, 1 through 9. Notice I skipped chapter 10. It's the Table of Nations. We will do that as the last chapter of this book because it is so technical. So scripture 11:1, Genesis 11:1. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found the plain of Shinar and settled there. So this is, remember, it's the Tigris and Euphrates River again after the flood. So it isn't the same as before the flood in the Garden of Eden. It's after the flood. And Mount Ararat is actually up to the north east there in those mountain type colors there. About 200 years have passed since Noah and his family have left the ark. In that time, a great population has created. As the people migrated east and south from the forbidding region of Mount Ararat, being up in the mountains, they finally came to Shinar in the fertile Mesopotamian plain, where they decided to settle and build a city. So they've moved into this rich, fertile plain, which it was, and they settled around uh, in the area of Shinar, in the fertile plain there. Mount Ararat, where the ark landed, is up in the mountains to the right of the map. Draw a boat there, or a ship rather. Did I say left? It's up to the right of the mountain. You realize I'm left-handed, so I switch things back and forth. Number 2, the plain of Shinar is the whole valley that encompasses the two rivers, and draw a circle around the valley. So it basically would be the whole valley from all the way around there, all the green area on that map. What two rivers run through the plains of Shinar? That would be the Tigris and the Euphrates River. Euphrates River shows up throughout the Old Testament. Does everyone speak the same language? At this point, everyone does. Everyone speaks the same language. The scripture says that people moved eastward. Where did they move eastward from? They moved eastward from Mount Ararat, which wouldn't have been very easy to domesticate cattle and stuff like that, to the plains of Shinar, which is a great fertile area. Where did all the people settle? Around the plain in Shinar, around the Mesopotamian valley. Genesis 11:3. They said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. So the reason why this was brought up is brick is more durable than stone. And so this gives a sense of permanence. They're going to live here for a while. The brick is made and to survive, and tar for mortar. So they're building houses to live in, to stay in. This scripture shows the people's desire to build permanent structures, and we have that even today. There's not a lot of us who are nomads and want to just travel for the whim of traveling, although I did that for a number of years. Bricks are made from mud and water mixed with straw. The liquid mixture would be put in a square form and then put in a kiln or laid out in the hot sun to dry. These bricks could then be stacked easier than stones with less space between them. Tar would have been obtained from the tar pits that existed in the area. What did the people want to use for building material instead of stone? Bricks. What were the bricks made out of? They were made out of they were made out of mud and water mixed with straw. How would the people bake the bricks? They would either bake it in a kiln or lay them out in the sun to dry. What would have been used as mortar? Tar for mortar that they would found in the ground. Would this building material be more permanent than stone? Yes, it'd be more permanent than stone. It would make better houses than stone would. Review Genesis 9:1 again. What did God tell the people to do? God told the people to go forth and multiply, to be fertile, increase in number, and fill the earth. Is building with bricks instead of stone not far from the ark, following through with God's command? Not really. They're building a city. They're not spreading out. Now, and the scriptures read, Genesis 11:4. Then they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we can make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we'll be scattered over the face of the earth. So they didn't want to scatter. They wanted to stay together and be in cities. The people decided they were going to build two things. What two things were they going to build? Let us build ourselves a city, and let us build us a tower to reach to the heavens. Why did they want to make these things? They wanted to make a name for themselves, and they wanted not to be scattered over the whole face of the earth. According to the above scripture, what would the people think would happen to them if they did not build this city and tower? That they would be scattered and not be together. Number 4, God wanted the people to scatter and fill the earth, and the people instead stayed in one place and decided to make a city and tower to heaven to God. Do you think this is what God wanted them to do? No, he wanted them to scatter and fill the whole earth, and yet there you're congregating in one spot and building a tower to God. Do you think they could make a tower high enough to reach God? No, but they wouldn't know that. They would assume if they build it high enough, they could reach God. Genesis 11:5. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, If as one people speaking the same language, they've begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. So we hear a lot of interesting things here. The Lord came down to see the city and tower the people were building. He probably looked down. He probably didn't necessarily come to the earth, although he could have, I suppose. And come, let us go down. That means the three of them, the triune God. Let us go down and confuse their language. So God said, Come, let us go down. Who's God talking to? He's talking to God the Father, is talking to Jesus the Son and the Holy Spirit. Do you think God actually came down, or did he work from heaven? He probably came down, descended into the heavens to see this. He didn't necessarily have to come to the earth to see this. Did God slow down the building of the tower? That was his intent. He was going to slow down the building of the tower. Interestingly, this tower never actually has a name. The name that is given, the Tower of Babel, is from the situation itself. Babel means confusion of words or sound. The town of Babylon, and later the country of Babylon, derived their name from this situation. Why would confusing their languages cause problems with the building of the tower and city? It'd be difficult then for orders to be given, for people to understand what to bring, for builders to understand the supervisors and everything like this. Confusion of languages would make it very hard for the building to continue in this way. 11, Genesis 11:8. So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That's why it was called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Did the people stop building the city and tower? Yes, because they could no longer understand each other. Did the Lord scatter them since they did not move on their own? Basically, yes. The Lord scattered them over the face of the earth. What that means exactly versus them leaving, I don't know. Do you think God physically scattered the people, or due to the confusion of language, they scattered on their own, and it's the confusion of languages that caused the move? Generally, it seems to me that the confusion of languages would cause the move, because then they would have to congregate in the groups of languages that existed. The Bible, Genesis 10, which is the last chapter of this book, actually tells us where the people were scattered and to what was the result of this movement. Ham's people generally moved to Egypt and Africa. You see Ham there. He had Egypt and Africa. There was a section that stayed in the land of Shem, actually. Japheth's people headed north through Europe and Russia and all over Asia. Shem's people stayed the nearest to the Ark area. These general rules are not absolute. For instance, Ham's son Canaan stayed in the area that will be future Israel. Why do you think God wanted the people to spread all over the earth? I think the reason why he wanted the people to spread over the earth is that evil could not spread as quickly that way. Once they're farther away, the good could stay good without influence from the bad, etc. And also there was plenty of land to be conquered and to work on, so that's why I think he spread it around the earth. So this then makes us wonder, how did the different races come to be, the different colors? And this gives us a clue. And this is from Answers in Genesis. If all people descended from Adam and Eve, as the Bible makes clear in both Genesis 3:20 and 1 Corinthians 15:45, why do we look so different? The Bible gives us the answers. Although Adam and Eve are often shown to be fair-skinned and blonde, this was unlikely. To derive all different skin shades from one couple, Adam and Eve likely were middle brown in color. If Adam and Eve had a mixture of light-colored genes and dark-colored genes, then their descendants could have a wide range of skin color from very light to very dark, with most people somewhere in between, as seen in the world today. Adam and Eve likely possessed genetic variation for eye shape and other distinguishing characteristics as well. As people migrated from Babel, different groups became isolated from the others and likely married only within their language group. Each group carried a set of physical characteristics as determined by their genes. As they intermarried, certain characteristics would begin to dominate due to the group's small pool of genes. Over time, different people groups displayed distinct physical characteristics. For example, Asians typically have almond-shaped eyes, dark hair, and middle brown skin, whereas Europeans have round eyes and fair-colored hair and skin. The term race is often used to classify people based solely on physical characteristics. According to the evolutionary ideas, the so-called races descended from different ancestors separated by location and time. However, based on biblical history, the term race must be incorrect. We are all one race, one blood in Acts 17:26. The human race descended from two ancestors, Adam and Eve. And basically, to add to that, the colors of the skin also deal with the radiation of the sun. Closer to the equator, where they get more sun, their skin needed to be darker to shield from that radiation. As you got more north or south, your skin could be lighter in color because it didn't need as much protection from the radiation of the sun. So now we come to the crossword. Japheth's people generally went north through Europe, Russia, and Asia. Number 4, come let us confuse their language so they don't understand each other. Number 6, the people of Shem stayed nearest to the area of the ark. Number 8, even though this tower does not have a name, it is known as the Tower of Babel. Number 10, the people moved eastward from Mount Ararat. Number 12, what did the people use for mortar? Tar. So one down. The people made bricks instead of using stone for building. 3, the people wanted to make a name for themselves. 5, the people settled in the plain of Shinar. 7, Adam and Eve were likely middle brown in color. 9, Ham's people generally went to Egypt and Africa. 11, the people who wanted to make a city with a tower to reach to the heavens. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you.